Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started here. All right, here we go. So first things first, we're going to go over to the ES futures. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. We're going to pull up the futures. This is my driver for the entire market. And so I want to make sure we are good to go here. So while this loads up, I don't know about you guys, but my Thinkorswim has been really messing up for today. It's been really slow, and you can see it's moving slow right now. So we're going to pull this up on the weekly, and then over here let's go ahead and just take a look at a 4-hour chart. And again, just bear with me as we wait for these things to boot up. If it starts going slow, we'll just stop streaming just because of the fact that it seems to be acting up today. There we go. All right, so far on the ES futures, we're still in the green box. And again, I'd like to take you back to what I was saying this morning. The green box, just like I display all the time, this is where we expect buyers to come in. Because we are looking at a weekly candle, sometimes it takes a little bit, right? And because of that, it's due to the sentiment. You know, price is pulling back. It takes a little bit of conviction for buyers to come back in. So again, you have to commit to that time frame. Now, we talk about the 9 EMA quite a bit on the weekly because for the year of 2021, every time we've come back into that 9 EMA, we've found buyers. It's always been an opportunity to buy. So here we are actually sitting on it for quad witch for today, right? And we're just sitting there. Coincidence? Maybe. All right. So price is pulling back here. And as I kept saying this entire year, things start to look different if we close underneath the 9 EMA. And then next week we start to go ask underneath the low. Let me go ahead and draw that out for you just so you kind of understand. All right, so this is the current candle. By the end of today, if for some reason we're underneath the 9 EMA, I'm going to go ahead and paint it red, just like this. And right here, we'll go ahead and just illuminate this 9 EMA, kind of make it like this, okay? So we come into next week, we see this candle, and let's say we get a pop, right? We get a pop over the weekend, Sunday, you know, something like this. But then we start to, say on Tuesday, this is still part of the weekly candle, start to break down and make those lows, okay? If we start seeing something like this and it lasts through the first 3 days, then I would expect this lower edge down here, this is a trendy edge, for this target to get hit, unfortunately, okay? So that target down there is around 43.70. Again, we need to wait for this week's candle to close, okay? So that's what I'm seeing on the ES futures. For me, it's all about the 9 EMA and at the end of the day. Now let's go over here and look at the ETFs. Remember, I use what's called the neutral strategy here. Basically, if price moves over the top 448.77, I'd ask you to go to Trendy Trading's blog. It's free. Check it out. We specifically talk about how to trade this. Okay, there was no reason to long this over 448.77 because price never actually got there. Now, lower levels, notice that the T1 at 443.31 worked very well. So taking a trade off of this level, we specifically talked about that as well, could give you some sort of return, and it did. 443.31 almost all the way into 448. Not bad. Now, look at us today, right? We're just kind of hanging out here, and I was just telling my team a few minutes ago that if I were in charge of the market, and believe me, I always want to think this way, right? I want to think like an institution. I want to think about, you know, how can I take money from other traders? Well, to me, when you're looking at these levels, okay, and we start to break through these levels, this right here is a decelerator. Okay, red arrows make sense, right? Accelerator. When we start to get that sort of, it feels like fear, right? You can feel it. You're like, oh man, we're already down $3. Now we're down almost 4. This is the worst Friday ever. Right when you start feeling that way, a lot of traders want to actually start buying puts. Let me tell you something. It's easier to buy puts when the market is moving up into resistance, not when it's moving down, folks. So what does that mean? How can you use the EMA cloud to understand that? Let me go ahead and draw that for you really quick. All right, so let's just say this is the EMA cloud. I know, I'm probably the best drawing person out there, right? The market does something like this. It starts to push up into the cloud. We start breaking down, okay? So once again, most traders try to buy on the way down, say right here, but the best area to actually look for puts is during that attempt to get back into the cloud, okay? So that's the first thing. When you're underneath the cloud, you need to think sideways to down until proven otherwise. What does that mean? Take the next pivot. Look up and to the left, okay? So, let's go ahead. I'm going to make this yellow. Your pivots here, okay? These are your major pivots. And the way you need to look at this until proven otherwise is if price can start to take out a pivot, boom, takes it out. And then it actually comes back, retests what was resistance, makes a higher high. This is conviction here that now we have a different look, okay? Now we have a different look. Maybe but when we get above that cloud, things start to look a lot different in the market as a whole. But no matter how you look at this, if I were to expand this, you could see that the cloud, right, is above price now in every situation. And I've coached this for the entire week to my team and anyone that's been listening, is that as long as price is under here, be careful if price cannot hold above the cloud. Notice on here on the 4H, this is what we've been paying attention to, is price cannot get above there. Okay, it just cannot get above there. And again, last year, 2020, we used to rely on tweets and catalysts in the market to save us when the price was pulling back. We're not really getting those type of catalysts or events anymore in the market. So to me, we're relying a lot on institutional buys. Okay, and you need to understand how to buy where institutions are buying or where bigger money is waiting to take a trade, and that's what we teach you by using the levels that I have on my charts. Now those bigger levels for right now on every single one of these SPYs, Qs, DIA, and IWM, for me that's 438 in that area, but I have to see something specific around that level, typically a reclaim, okay? So for right now, if we can't get above the cloud, then I'm looking for that target down here towards 438 longer term. Now, I'm very transparent. I have swings on. Okay, I've sold a lot of swings this morning. I sold W for almost 50%. I sold Etsy, I think, for over 50%. I sold Twilio. We did really well on the swing positions, and then I'm still holding some. So what do I do during this time? Okay? So again, I just want to reiterate and also teach anybody that might be new in here is that I always have a set number. Okay? What is that set number? What is your allocation every time you go into a trade? For me, let's go ahead with hypothetical, and I can tell you it's actually pretty close. All right? It's pretty close. So we're going to go back to the whiteboard here. It's going to be $2,500 in option trade. Okay? If the market conditions, all right, we're going to type this out. If market conditions equal choppy to down, but I like a setup, guess what? What are we doing? I'm starting. Okay? So starting might be equal to, now this is going to really be hypothetical here, all right, is $500. All right, I just want to put a still like the chart, and again on swings, I'm paying attention to weekly and monthly candles, not 5-minute, not 4-hour, none of that crap, okay? So nice little pullback. Let's just say that I pay on an option like $5. We come back down to a level that I've already annotated on the chart and say that now the option's 250. Well, I still, in my head, have $2,000 left for this longer term trade. So I'm able to add into that. So my point here is that although the market is pulling back and I'm looking for potentially 438, I'm building into my long-term positions. Okay? Now, what's really cool is that we started the new channel in here called intraday, okay, intraday speculation, higher risk trades. So now you can see the difference between my day trading versus my swing trading, okay? And I just updated everybody. Let me give you some perspective. Right now, currently, I am 0.09% allocated in my intraday trading. We tried a couple 0 DTEs this morning, and all of them are flopped. And I'll go over that here in a second. But that's okay, because again, this is a higher risk kind of trade, right? This is just a 0 DTE. I'm looking to have a little bit of fun on Friday. My main focus are my swing trades. That's where I'm going to make the bulk of my money. Okay, and we'll go over that here in a few seconds. All right, so let's go ahead and go on. Over here, we're going to look at some of these setups that we had this morning. And notice that the market's just popping a little bit here. Now again, for me, this is very crucial because does it just pop right up into the cloud and then right back down? Most likely. You know, is this a capitulation event? You know, should you be scared? I don't think so. You know, you could feel it, guys. I was there during COVID. I think I've been in every little small crash in the last several years, trading live, and I'll tell you what, you could feel it. It's like when the market is bursting to the upside. You could just throw a dart, man, and boom, you're making money. I'm not feeling that. Now, exactly at the same time that I told the room here that if I were in charge of the market, I would start to push the market up right now. Did I not? Right? That's what I was just telling you guys, and that's what the market's doing. They're resetting the premium on here because there's a point when price is pulling back that traders start to buy puts because they're fearful. Okay? If you find yourself being fearful, it's because, one, you're over allocated. You have too much money in the trade. Two, what's the next one? You have too much money in the trade. Two, I would say you're looking at too small of a time frame, folks. Right? I mean, some of these candles, you look at them, you're like, oh my God, everything's going to zero. Right? And then you're like, whoa, 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 wait a minute, let's back it up. Look at the weekly chart, start to reassess. Now, what you see on the screen right now is 0 DTE trades. Okay? 0 DTE trades. I tried an Apple trade to the upside looking for 150. No good. 0. But I expected 0 before I took the trade. It's an intraday 0 DTE risky trade. Move on. BAC didn't take it. Almost did. Would have lost money on that one too. Amazon did not take it. Would have lost money on that too because I was biased to the upside if we break out of the PMZ. That's one of my indicators. None of these did we break out of the PMZ. Now, I'll talk to you about Square real quick. These guys are criminals. Okay? Absolute criminals. So as the market opened and it was pushing for me to buy, the option chain was not open. They did not open the chain until right before my T1, which was 257.15. So the target was right, the plan was right, the option chain opened late, I bought the option chain, and here I am sitting at a loss. Okay? Once again, I accepted that loss before I took the trade. All right, moving on over. NVIDIA as well. Try to buy the dip down here at this yellow line. That's not working out as well. Now, I will tell you, it's still early in the session. Anything can happen. But again, we're underneath the cloud, even on the 5-minute charts, folks. So for my scalpers out there, people who are thinking about, like, hey, looking for intraday money, it's the same concept of what I was just telling you. Until this market can show that it can get above this cloud up here, then things are going to remain the same. Okay? Right now, we just got past European close, right? Europe close. We're just going to, like, chill out, not do anything. Okay, I want to see what this market wants to do. All right, let's go ahead and minimize that really quick.
All right, so let's get back into it. Let's go to a smaller time frame. I want to show you, again, remember this pink level down here is my target on this trade. Now, we call this, you don't need to write all this down, but each one of my setups, we actually have a name for it so everybody can relate to it. You don't need to go, oh, does this happen or does that? It's called a reverse ACDC. And basically what I'm looking for, as long as price stays, we're making lower lows, as long as price stays underneath these red arrows, I'm looking for that pink line down there at 43.69. Okay? But again, we're going to wait until the end of the day and see how we close. We did close some SPY puts. I closed SPY puts at 40%. Those did pretty well. And so that's because I'm expecting potentially a close above the 9 EMA here. I mean, why wouldn't you? Right? I mean, look at 2021. Look at this cloud, guys. This is like a trampoline. This is where you should be jumping, right? Not falling, not getting scared. So for me, I'm going to sit and wait a little bit, wait for price to kind of come in and see what it wants to do. All right, so a couple things that I took today for longer term trades. Let me go ahead and go over those. And again, this is not for me to get you guys to buy something. Please understand that. You can see this little thing scrolling at the bottom. I am just a trader who came up with a really cool, plan, methodology, some indicators. They're all on my screen, and they help traders to become more confident in their executions. Okay? There's a lot in trading. I can give you all the levels and tell you what's going to happen, but I guarantee you there's still going to be a high percentage of traders who still do their own thing, because really you have to mentally be prepared. You have to exercise your mind constantly. You feel like you're really good, and then you come back the next week and all your losses, they add up, and last week didn't matter. You lost all your money, and now you're back in the dumps, and you think you're a horrible trader. It's true. It happens even to the best of us, and it'll keep happening. So you got to have an open mind that you can be wrong in trading. Okay? All right, so some things that I'm looking at that I like is I started here on APPS. Ripster out there tweeted about it as well. I know he's been looking at it for quite some time, but the chart is beautiful. Okay? So I want to show you kind of what I'm looking at, what I took, and again, this is what I took. And as soon as it loads here, we'll go over it. While we're sitting here waiting, for me personally, I took 63 days out, and I took the 65 calls at $8.30. Now, there's a lot of different ways to look at this. You could say, hey, it's breaking a trend line. And notice that I drew a trend line on here, and you guys can see that, and it's starting to break out from there. I'm not a huge, let me reiterate this, right? I'm not huge in the shapes, guys. Shapes are for traders who are at a neutral stance, like you don't really know how to read the market. So shapes can really help you. It's like, okay, there's a trend line, it's about to break, and a lot of times they work. All right, but for me, I'm more about candle formation, supply and demand, support and resistance. So what I'm looking at here is that I'm forecasting we are creating an inside and up, and as long as price stays above that pink line, I believe we can move towards $81. Now, I also think that over 68.94, because of the formation that I see right here. Okay, let me go ahead and draw this out for you once again. Right there, because of that formation, see how we have downward pressure? There's a lot of sellers in here, okay? A lot of sellers in here. Go ahead and put that on there for you. Sellers, okay? So from here, this is my risk, 59.42, and where I'm looking for is for price to push up into sellers. They're, of course, going to sell, and we are going to reject, and then price is going to come in a little bit. Now, what's important from here is from this low to this high that we still hold above that pink line. Now, once I start getting profitable, what I want to do is start trimming in here, and then I want to raise those stops up a little bit tighter. Right now, it's at 59.42. I want to raise those stops up underneath my specific levels. Okay? So, 68.94, let's just round it up and say 69. I'm going to go ahead and create an alert here right before it. So on Thinkorswim, create alert at or above. What this is going to tell me is that when price gets here, we have a very high probability that we'll pull back, but it's also one of those things, if consecutive days create higher highs, we are going to push through that, and we're going to push through it with force, and we should be seeing 80, okay, 81 bucks. That's what I'm looking at in APPS. All right. All right, so moving on down here, today I've also went ahead and traded HD. All right, and I started, this one was a conditional order. So I didn't want to chase it when it was up today. It was up several dollars. And so I put in an order to say when price is less than or equal to 337.50, I wanted to take the trade. As soon as I did that, price came down. Probably took about 15-20 minutes. It filled me, and now I'm in that trade. Now, just as I was saying in the beginning of this, this is a starter. Okay, so I want to see, by the end of today, this week, can we close above that peak line, right? And then Monday, if we're still above it, then I'll start adding into this position, and I'm looking for 345, 365 area. Now I'm currently down. I bought it at 385, and it is trading at 357, so just barely down there. Okay. All right, and then Twilio. This is one that we traded. We made, some good money on it this morning. Let me go ahead and bring this one up as well and show you what I'm looking at. It's a slow. Can you believe this thing was up nicely this morning? Yesterday was what really, got my interest in here. It stayed very strong. So you can see here that price pushed up very nice. This is where we were looking for, is this pink and this blue line for things to hold. They held. What I'm looking for is 357. I woke up this morning, it was popped up. So what I did was close my swing, and I bought a call debit spread. Okay, so I have call debit spreads in this. All right, so the call debit spreads for me, what I'm looking at, this is a little further out of the money, but I bought, it looks like 63 days out, and I bought the 4x420. Okay, it's kind of a inside joke, but a lot of these things are pushing towards 4 and 420. And you can see the highs up here are basically 457. We have resistance at around 425. So I think this is a perfect area for me to be long on this position. And again, using some profits to get into those debit spreads. All right. All right, so moving on here, looking around, I have some CODX. Okay, now this is a equity trade, and again, I'm just starting the position, and you can see here, at 981 is where I'm in. I have 400 shares for right now, pretty small position, but we just want to see how it's going to work out. Let's wait for this chart to kind of pick up here and see what we got. So remember, Trendy Trading is a lot different from most services out there. We actually do what we say, meaning I take the trades that I say. But a lot of these traders, I shouldn't say it like that, they probably do what they say. We just make it a little bit easier for traders to see what I'm doing because I have my alerts that are linked to the room. All right, so for example, let me show you right here. You can see right here, this is where I close, this is where I added, and it tells you the price, it tells you the exact time. It's pretty trendy if you ask me, so we're asking all gurus out there and anyone that's running a service to come check us out so we can help you get in the right hands of a developer who can create these type of alerts for you. I mean, wouldn't you want to be transparent for your members? I hope so. So please DM me, and I will help you get that set up. So CODX, what am I looking for? Well, I'm not going to lie, I didn't realize they hit my target one yesterday after hours. That was 1028, so this was our blueprint. Let me go ahead and open this up just a tad bit more so you can see it. All right, so 1028 was the first target. 1066, 1113. What I'm looking for is 1150 by 13, 14 bucks. Okay, those are my targets that I'm looking for the upside. All right. All right, so far as the market goes, let's go ahead and come over here to the SPY, Qs, DIA, and IWM one more time. As I said, I was looking for them to pop to kind of reset the options. I don't think this is going to be easy for a lot of traders. If you're trying to buy, just remember, okay, if you take anything from what I'm trying to tell you right now, is if you're trying to short, don't short at the bottom. And you're probably thinking, well, how do I know what the bottom is, John? Well, is it at the cloud? If it's not at the cloud, you're not at the bottom, right? So basically, price needs to move up to the cloud. That's where I'm always thinking about getting on a short when price is moving down, okay? Right down here, this is not where I want to be buying shorts, all right? Just something to think about. They do this stuff towards the midday, towards the, towards the close, and they'll throw the options off. You'll pay up the premium for being full. And then they'll take it all away from you. All right. If you want to learn how to think more like the big guys and pinpoint these levels, come check us out. Trials are again under 20 bucks. You can't beat that for everything that you get in here as far as knowledge goes. Today, again, 0 DTE day didn't pan out like they have been, but that's okay. We'll move on. We'll make better trades, and I can't wait to trade with everybody. You guys have a great weekend. I hope you have great plans, and I really appreciate you. Bye now.